Comparing. We all know we're supposed to do it, but there's a few things that you can do to make it easier and so that you can actually make the correct decisions when you're comparing. Stay tuned to the end if you want to see what I'm talking about. Alright, what's up guys? Welcome to the video. For those of you that are new to the channel, my name is Kilian, aka NaiLiK, and in today's video we're going to be going over A being so that we can effectively compare things subjectively in your music productions. So the first thing we need to talk about is that our ears are more sensitive at certain frequencies. So when we listen to music at a lower volume, we don't really hear much bass. And then as we increase the volume that we're listening to, our ears kind of equalize and hear things a little bit more evenly. So this causes us to generally perceive things that are louder as sounding better and more full. So this is something that we're going to be constantly fighting with in our music productions, because whenever we want to compare if something is actually better or not, if we want to do that properly, the first thing that we need to do is make sure that they're the same perceived loudness or the same volume. Then we can accurately compare whether it's better or whether it's not. There's a few areas that we might want to be comparing in our music productions. So we might want to compare our track or our mix to another track that we really like the total balance and the mix of the track. So we want to compare how our song sounds to another song. We can use plugins like Metric AB or Reference by Mastering the Mix, which allow us to put that on the master channel, load in another track of one of our favorite artists, and then we can loudness match and compare our song to that song. So that's great. That's really, really cool. So some of you guys might be aware of that, and you might already be loudness matching things before you compare them so that you can get a better judgment on the decision you're about to make. So there's another place that you might want to reference things, and that's on the changes that you're making to a current sound when you're mixing. So if you're mixing a sound and then you're adding some plugins onto it, and you want to know whether it sounded better before or after you put that EQ or that EQ and that distortion and that reverb, the only way you can accurately compare those would be to level match them by, any plugin that adds some gain, you need to lower the output level and kind of match this either with a meter or by ears, so that when you bypass the plugins and you compare, it doesn't change in volume. So that's one way to do it. You can also make a duplicate of that channel and then adjust the loudness of either one so that when you solo back and forth, you get a comparison of the before and after at the same volume. So that's great, but we're going to be looking at a way we can automate this process so that we can compare the processing that we're doing on one effects chain and see if we like the before or the after. So we're going to jump into Cubase. We're going to be looking at a session, which is a song by Holon and me called Pastor Face, which is going to be coming out on his next album on New Skulls Records. So we're going to be looking at one particular sound. It's a lead sound. We're going to start adding some processing to that sound, and then we're going to loudness match it using ABLM, and we're going to see if it's better before or after. So without further ado, let's jump right into Cubase and take a look at this plugin. All right, guys, so here we are in Cubase, and we're going to be looking at this project, like I said, by Holon and myself. The lead we're going to be looking at is this lead right here. I'll put it in solo and we'll listen to it before. And then let's start adding some plugins like EQ. We'll add a saturation, and then we'll see if it's a little bit louder, and then maybe we'll just use ABLM on something like that. So I'm going to add these plugins at the end just for the sake of the example here. So we're going to add a Saturn. We'll go to Best Of with Basic Saturator. We'll add another band or two. Okay, so let's say we add an EQ and we're boosting some frequency. by like 2 or 3 dB. So of course, if we're boosting a frequency by 2 or 3 dB, it's going to be louder than before we had that EQ. So I'll demonstrate the problem by just bypassing these, and we'll see it obviously goes down in volume, and we'll probably prefer the one that has the plugins on, simply because it's louder and it's going to sound more full to us and a little bit more even. So that's with the plugins, and then I'll disable them. Okay, so you might say, yeah, we could just use a loudness meter. We can drop the output gain even. Obviously that saturator is adding something too. So we can do all of this, right? We can loudness match them just by ear, maybe even drop it down a little more. Let's do -5. Right, so we can go back and forth, and of course we can figure this out and use even a loudness meter or a VU meter and get this done right away. But first thing we're going to look at is ABLM by TV Pro Audio. So this plugin works by loading 2 instances of the plugin, and you put one at the beginning, so before the chain or before the effects that you want to compare the before and after to. So you put one slot before all of your plugins, and then you put another instance of the plugin after, and I'll open the second one here. So we can see in the plugin that we've got the mode and we've got a link ID. So if I change, the second copy of the plugin should be the receiver. So we're going to put copy number 2 into receiver mode, and then we'll see that the link ID will jump to link ID number 1, which means that these 2 instances of the plugin are now communicating, and that's exactly what we want. So now when we go from A, B, it's actually going to jump from listening to this plugin to this plugin. It's just listening to the position in the effects chain, but it's also going to do this loudness matching automatically. So when we jump from the A and B, it's going to be the exact same volume, and then we can compare anything that we have in between those 2 copies of the plugins instantly. Right, so before it clearly sounded much better with the distortion, but now we can hear when it's properly level matched, there isn't a huge difference, and we can accurately judge which one do we like better. Do we make some improvements, or was that high boost just kind of useless in terms of the mix? So of course we'd have to take this out of solo and then A/B to properly find out whether the decision was good inside of the song or not, because listening in solo doesn't really do anything for us. But I really hope you guys liked ABLM. You guys should definitely be checking this out if you want to be comparing the processing you're doing on an individual sound. If you guys want to compare just your mix to another song, then of course I would recommend using Metric AB or Mastering the Mix. So if you guys have any familiarity with either of those plugins, I want to know which one you guys are using to compare your track to another track. And let me know in the comments down below. And I'm using both of them. I've tested them out both quite a bit, but let me know which one you guys like down below, and I'll do another tutorial on using that one to compare your mix to your favorite song. So I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. Cheers.